Hello everybody, today I'm going to be replacing the dimmer switch for the high beams. In 1981 it was still mounted on the floor in these C10 trucks. So first thing I gotta do is pull the floor mat. Release the old brake. And then on my truck, I just have to peel the carpet back. And then I'll peel the insulation back and I'll have full access to the switch and wiring. And now that I have some light on the situation, looks like the socket is kind of burned up and melted, so I got one of those as well. So I guess get that socket size that I need and start taking this apart. Before I get started, here's some of the tools I'll be using. Need a heat gun, some heat shrink tubing, wire cutters, an 8mm socket, solder, soldering iron, switch, and pigtail. The switch is a D808, and the pigtail I will leave a link in the description. So I'll get the tripod set up and see what I can get into. Start the video clip here as to what my repair method was on the wires. It was kind of hard to see, so I'm going to insert that right now. I'm going to go ahead and use the old connector to demonstrate. We'll just make believe this is the new connector. Get that stripped down. Get a section of heat shrink tubing ready to go. For this case, it doesn't matter the color. I'm going to twist the wires together. Something like that. Meanwhile, I already have my heat shrink tubing back on and out of the way. So now it's just a matter of soldering this connection. And now I just solder the connection. It'll take a little bit to heat up, but it'll get there. Now that's what I'm looking for. I want the solder to soak in like that to the wire braid. And generally I'm on the opposite side of the heat, where it's drawing in the solder to make the good connection. And that should be adequate there. Let that cool just a moment, and then I'll slide the heat shrink tubing over the repaired area. There's that. And then get the old heat gun. And shrink the tubing. And there's my repaired wire. Not going anywhere. Not able to get the greatest of angle, but hopefully enough to see what's going on. First thing I will do is take off the switch from the floorboard. Got it. That is in pretty bad shape. I think it's a good call to replace that. What I'm going to do is take the Dremel and cut that off. And a little while later, I took the old socket out of the integrated base and did a little fabrication and got that where that base will work, that isolation base. And I also color coded my wires before I cut them, where I would have them in the correct orientation. I used colored heat shrink tubing to do that. So now I can mount this new switch on the floorboard and we can continue on. Getting up 8mm screws and get this base mounted back onto the floorboard. See how this is going to work. I think it'll be okay. A bit clumsier than the original because everything was integrated, but couldn't find that kind, so do what I gotta do. Goes. And that just sits in there just as good as it ever did. Now I can work on my connections. I'm going to stagger them. How well this is coming out on camera, but I'm doing the best I can with what I got. So I'm going to do my green first. Start about like that. Do a little straight. stripping. That looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is take another section of green heat shrink tubing, about half, and I need to slip it down over here. And then I'm going to trim my wire. Strip it. And twist them together. Our soldering iron is preheated. Get everything folded back and out of the way. Now we're flowing. Make a good solder connection as well. That should be adequate. I'm pulling on it, it's not coming loose. Got a little tag here I can take off. Decent. I'll slide the heat shrink tubing over the repaired area. And get the old heat gun out. Happy with that repair, so I'm going to redo it. May block a little bit here, but I gotta get this done right. Okay, let's get the piece on there. Get it way up out of the way. I think that'll do. I like that a little better. That's flowing much better this time. It flowed out pretty nicely that time. I'm happier with that. I'll always redo my work if I'm not happy with it the first time. And that I can live with. Very good. Now I will rinse and repeat for the next two wires, and that will be that. I don't know what happened to this first switch I put in here, but I got a genuine AC Delco. This one I believe was a counterfeit part. And it just snapped right off. But you can see on my wiring, I dressed it out kind of like it would be factory. We'll get this fixed right up. Shouldn't be a big deal. Is plugged in. Nice solid floor pans on the old 81. I think we should be good. Doesn't stick out quite as far as the old one, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, that ought to work fine. Hook the battery up and see if we got headlights. Low beams work. And we've got one high beam not working. Just had a bit of a loose socket on that high beam over there, so we're good now. Probably need to take that off and clean it good though, just to be sure. Clean all the connections up. We should be good. Got a little piece of sandpaper to shine these up a bit. That should be pretty good. Give it a little test before reassembly. And looks like that did the trick. Well, let's do a warm start and power up the headlights and pull it back in place. Let's take a look at the old parts I pulled out. This, I don't believe, was the original dimmer switch to the truck, because it appears to have a date code of 5291 on it. And see, this one was on its way out. That top terminal is really corroded and looking quite rough. And here's the corresponding terminal on the connection. It's melted and corroded up as well. So probably a good idea that I went ahead and got in there and repaired that before things took a turn for the worse. So once again, this has been replacing the socket and the dimmer switch on the '81 Chevy Silverado. Thank you for watching.